The Merdeka curriculum is gaining popularity among teachers, and the great safety operation is underway. Watch out. Welcome to the latest news from Bali and Indonesia. This is February 13th, 2023, and my name is Bruce. Selamat siang. What is the weather like right now? It is cloudy, but sunny and very, very windy. It has been raining here for the last 5 days, on and on and on. Flooding. A lot of problems around the island, landslides, flooding, and we're going to have a segment on flooding up here in North Bali later on. Our house flooded over the weekend, and we spent a couple days cleaning up and having to fix all the electricity up here in my room because I just had water pouring in from everywhere. The wind was amazing. Wow. Nothing like paradise, is it? Right now, it is 32 degrees. Yes, 32 degrees. It is hot. And the humidity, 63%, and wind speed, 19.4 kilometers per hour. And I imagine it is going to pick up as the day goes on. That's been the pattern for the last 5 days. I hope the weather is better wherever you are. If you're in a different part of the island, how is the weather where you are? Leave a comment. Let me know. And I am essentially done with my cataracts. So I have one more appointment in a few weeks. It's a monthly checkup to see how everything is. But I got glasses, so these glasses are still basically temporary. I'm going to get another pair. I have a new pair for reading. I can actually read books now. This is the first time that I have been able to read books in months and months and months. Of course, I can't see anything. These are made just for reading. And because I love driving motorcycles, I got my motorcycle glasses. Yes, and these are good. And these are very, very dark, so I like that. So for everybody that has been asking me about my eyes, thank you, and I have paid nothing. The glasses, you end up getting, I got 330,000 rupiah from the BPJS, and they gave me a letter after I was done with the numbers for my eyes, and 3 places that I could go to use this letter in order to get a discount on the glasses. And so it just so happened that it's my favorite place, Lucky Optical, just down the street from here. These were 430,000, so I had to pay 100,000 for these. And the sunglasses were 400,000, and so I paid for those. So pretty cheap. So if you are looking for inexpensive glasses up in Singaraja, or you have friends around in maybe Lovina or somewhere, and they're looking for good eye care, try Lucky Optical. It's on Jalan Serpati, just past the Singaraja Square, which is where the Singaraja Hotel, the ex-Pop Hotel, is. And so you just go down a little ways. It's actually right across from the BNE Bank, and you can't miss it. And very nice folks, and very inexpensive glasses. Let's take a look at the first segment on the Merdeka curriculum. That's the new curriculum. When Education, Culture, Research, and Technology Minister Nadia Makarim introduced the Merdeka curriculum last year, there were a lot of worries, a lot of concerns about whether or not teachers were going to go for it. And according to this report, teachers are getting in line and actually being enthusiastic about adopting it. The new curriculum is still optional. It's not mandatory until the end of the school year coming up in June. But many teachers are finding the new curriculum much more flexible than the old curriculum, and so some of them have jumped into it. In fact, many more than the government thought. According to ministry data, over 156,000 schools around the country, ranging from early childhood through senior high school, have adopted this either fully or partially. That's about 35% of the schools in Indonesia. According to the head of Education Ministry's Center for Curriculum and Learning, he said that the adoption rate has far exceeded their target. He said they did not have a strict target on how many schools would pick it up, but they expected around 16,000 schools, and they got 156,000, so wow, wildly popular. He said educators have been eager to try this out because it's more flexible and because it focuses only on essential learning materials for students. Unlike the previous 2013 national curriculum, which set out a certain amount of learning hours per week for each subject, the new curriculum sets out annual targets, in effect giving teachers the freedom to structure their teaching programs and learning timetables so they can focus more on something that they're into, let's say mathematics, and they can spend less time, let's say, on social studies, and then later on focus more on social studies and less on math. As a long-time educator, it's flexibility. Wow, I'm all in favor of flexibility. According to the ministry, the 2013 curriculum forced teachers to deliver lessons according to predetermined targets, which often resulted in teachers rushing through material in order to meet the deadline. Minister Nadiem said when they launched the curriculum Merdeka in February of last year, he said it was an answer to the nationwide trend in learning loss, or the loss of knowledge and skills that took place when students were not in school during the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite what the government said at the time about online learning and how good it was and kids were getting things, they finally admitted that no, it wasn't that good. A 2022 World Bank report found that remote learning was largely ineffective, with each month of school closures leading to a full month of lost learning. And here in Bali, that was, wow, over a year. So a lot of lost learning there. The report also concluded that learning loss could harm the total lifetime income of children and youth. With schools now being able to register to implement the curriculum Merdeka for the 2023-2024 school year, the ministry said it will continue to encourage schools to adopt the new curriculum in order to reach the 100% adoption rate for 2024. In East Nusa Tenggara, an elementary school principal said that the teachers, some of whom had been there for close to a decade, were all eager to challenge themselves with the new curriculum. However, he said, some teachers were struggling more than others in adopting the new curriculum, but every teacher, he said, was excited and motivated to learn about the new curriculum. The principal said, rather than just a one-way approach to teaching, teachers now more often instruct their students to do more activities. In mathematics, for example, we would make kids race each other in calculating the area of the classroom. And kids are always excited, he said. I actually did something like that when I was teaching junior high school math in Sumbawa. I brought my class over to my house and I had them measure the square meters in the house and the yard and a number of other things. And well, they had a good time because I had a lot of farm animals for them to look at, play with: ducks, chicken, geese, goats, dogs, cats, birds. So it was fun. And so, yeah, I like this idea. Despite the enthusiasm for the new curriculum, the Education Ministry is still facing some difficulties ensuring that teachers nationwide can follow the curriculum as intended. According to Teachers and Education Personnel Director General Nunuk Suryani, he said, from what we've seen, there are various levels of quality in the implementation of the curriculum. Not all teachers have implemented it well, and that's why it's important for us to do random checks. When he was asked how the ministry was going to facilitate teachers adopting this curriculum successfully, he said teachers are encouraged to access a mobile app called Merdeka Mengajar, Freedom to Teach, which allows teachers to get examples of the best practices in teaching using the new curriculum. But what's more important, he said, is for teachers to want to be able to learn. Change is, of course, difficult, he said, but the best teachers are those that can adapt. And I know in my granddaughter's school, they've had a number of days off while teachers are working on implementing this new curriculum. And as much as I would like to see her in school and not hanging around home going, what am I going to do, Grandpa? I think it's important for teacher development in order to have these days without kids in the classroom where they can take a look at the new curriculum and figure out how to use it, how to implement it in the most effective way. So, we'll keep track on this and see how this works out. And the second lead story, traffic. Yes, the Bali police have a traffic operation underway. It's called the Agung Safety Operation, the Great Safety Operation 2023, running from February 7th, right, last week, through February 20th. Bali police netted 1,057 violators on the fourth day of the 2023 Agung Safety Operation. What are the police looking for? They're looking for things that are obviously visible to the eye. For example, drivers who aren't using the correct helmet, drivers who aren't wearing safety belts if you're in a car, drivers who are using their cell phones, and they must be teaching this in school because we were out walking yesterday, my granddaughter and I, and a guy zoomed past us on his motorcycle using his phone, and my granddaughter said, "Grandpa, that guy's using his phone on not supposed to on his motorcycle." Good for her. I hope she remembers that when she starts driving because she's already talking about it. In addition to those things, police officers are also paying attention to activities that can interfere with concentration while driving. For example, going against the flow means driving the wrong way down the street, and that happens all the time everywhere in Bali. Driving over the speed limit and potential distractions that can cause traffic jams. So the number of violators, like I said, 1,057. Of that 1,057, 1,034 were given warnings, and the rest were subject to electronic fines, as recorded on the static ETLE camera. Number of violators last year during the operation, 445, and this year, 1,057 so far. So quite a bit up, 138% increase. In addition to traffic violations, the number of accidents has also gone up. There were 7 accidents in 2022. This is during this operation. And so far the number here is 12, which is an increase of 71%. Police spokesperson said that the increase in the number of traffic violations and accidents shows the level of awareness among Balinese people for orderly traffic is still very low. He said he would continue to evaluate in order to find a strategy to reduce the number of traffic violators. He invited everybody to be orderly when they're driving and obey the traffic rules. He said traffic safety is the main thing. He concluded, let's get used to obeying traffic rules for safety together. Be a pioneer in traffic safety and make traffic safety the first and the foremost. I would love to see that happen. And let's jump over to Lovina. A couple of segments on Lovina. And the first one is on weather. Horrified, Lovina floods tarnish the image of tourism. Tourists are busy making mud floods viral. Okay, I love how this stuff gets pushed into, it's upsetting the tourist. Oh, poor tourist. What about the people that live here? The flash floods that occurred in Kalibukbuk office have tarnished the image of tourism in North Bali. Really? The location of the flood is only 500 meters from the center of the Lovina tourism area, and even the location of the flood is not far from a villa complex which is occupied by expats. As of Friday, the cleaning process due to flash floods is still ongoing. Heavy equipment leased by Bule Regional Disaster Mitigation Agency, BPBD, is still working to clean up the mud that has blocked settlements and access to residents' homes. The worst conditions were seen on Jalan Damai, Cambodia, and there the height of mud reached the calves of adults. Residents were seen working hand in hand to clean their yard from mud puddles. The mud was brought to the road. Then heavy equipment transferred the sludge to the dump truck that had been prepared. A number of foreigners, well, it says a number of foreigners, tourists or expats, or tourist, expats, immigrants, I don't know, were concerned about this. One admitted that he was worried about the rain that occurred last Wednesday night. He was worried that the water would get higher and enter the villa he was renting. I can breathe easy because my villa is located high, he said. But there is our neighbor in the next alley whose house is submerged in mud. Ugh. I think this incident is bad enough. Okay, it is not good, but worrying about this damaging the image of Bali, I think, is an overreaction on the part of the government. The head of Kalibukbuk village admitted that the incident hit residents psychologically and economically because residents lose their productive time to work. Over the last 2 days, residents have been focused on cleaning their houses and getting rid of these piles of mud, and so they weren't able to work. And he said, I hope the government is going to help with this. He said he hopes that later social services will be able to provide basic food packages for our residents. According to him, from village government data collection, there are 60 heads of families affected, and as many as 10 had their houses submerged. That was in water, and 50 submerged in mud. Mud not only soaked furniture, property, but also people's clothes. Furthermore, he said this is the first time that resident settlements were submerged in mud. In 2018, there were large floods, but not to the extent where it paralyzed activities like now. He said he suspects that the flooding is due to recent housing developments. He said residential developers carry out a cut and fill process using piled up soil. It's suspected that the land slipped and drifted downstream. This caused a mud flow. Additionally, he said drains are full of trash. He urged the Regency government to conduct a study on housing development in the upstream area, Kalibukbuk, and said that there should be a permit before developing housing, and that there isn't at this point, and people are just putting up housing whenever they want to. And this has been an issue being talked about in Bule since last year. I did a report on this last year about an area not far from where my son's new house is. People developing houses, these housing developments, not really paying attention to trash and to what's happening to your dirty water. Another problem, he said, is that residents are willing to use their plantations as a temporary disposal site for mud. He suspects that flooding has occurred because of the narrowing of waterways. And so he's saying, don't just throw dirt anywhere you want to when you're building something, and you've got to stop throwing your trash in the drains. Fortunately, there have been no casualties reported, but losses in the hundreds of millions of rupees for people whose houses have been submerged and their furniture and clothes ruined. And people have been out here in my neighborhood fixing their roofs because of the high wind. Happens every year here. And what else about Lovina? What is Lovina known for? Dolphin watching. Now, this is a controversial area. I know some people really hate the fact that people go out in boats and chase down the dolphins, and other people love it, and it is popular. It goes on, and boats are full. I see them out here sometimes, dozens of them out in front of my house after the dolphins. And so, what about it? Designed for 75,000 to 100,000 rupees, dolphin viewing rates will be regulated. And this happened a long time ago. I thought I did a story on this a couple weeks ago, but apparently I didn't. A long time ago, there was an organization that was formed up in the Antran area. My friends who were fishermen, and they were the guys I hung out with then, were involved in this, and it happened because of an incident where some tourists took a boat out, and when they came back, the guy who they had originally promised to rent the boat from was waiting for them because they got a cheaper price from somebody else that night, and so they left early before they were scheduled to go out with the other guy, and so he was upset. There was a big fight going on, big argument. Knives were pulled, and, well, people in the village got involved in it, and they stopped the fight. The tourists would not pay the guy who they had already agreed to, and, well, that was a big issue. After that, an organization was formed there where people were given numbers, and so you got numbers to go out so that everybody was charging the same rate, and there was no cutthroat business going on there. Well, apparently that has expired over the last 30 years, and so it's an issue again. Tariffs will be set uniformly to ensure service and safety standards. This will be discussed again with the Dolphin Watching Tour Service Provider Group. The head of Bule Tourist Office, Pagdodi, talked about him many times, said that the minimum tariff for viewing dolphins will be $75,000 during the low season, $100,000 during the high season, although that hasn't been set in stone yet. He said the lowest rates have not been set yet and will still be discussed in future meetings. So right now it seems that it's 75,000 rupees. I don't know if you've been out recently and a boat to see the dolphins. You might leave a comment and say what you were paying. Pagdodi said after the initial meeting held with several representatives of dolphin watching tourism service groups, it's necessary to agree on uniform rates for escorting tourists, namely the lowest limit. According to the plan, the lowest tariff is going to be $75,000, as I said, and then $100,000 in the high season. Pakdoti said the minimum rate is set so as not to be too low, because if it's too low, it's feared that it will reduce service, especially safety, when traveling to watch the dolphins. In the next meeting, the Bule Tourism Office will also develop SOPs that will be carried out by service providers and tourists. The formulation will involve environmental NGOs. One of the provisions regulated in the SOP is the minimum distance of the jukun, the boat, when approaching the dolphins. Then safety standards, such as provision of life jackets, to the capacity of boats carrying tourists. The SOPs will also be contained in an information system that can be accessed via a barcode installed on each boat. Wow, high tech. Pakdoti said the barcode contains KIE, communication information and education for tourists, so that they know what is allowed and what is not. For example, tourists may not instruct the captain of the boat to approach the dolphins too close. There's a 25-meter distance that should be between the dolphins and the boats, and the engine needs to be stopped so as not to disturb the dolphins. The boats will need to be registered with the service provider so that the government can check on its eligibility and maximum passenger capacity. This information will also be printed on the barcode and can be accessed by tourists, so that tourists can complain directly to the operator if there is any problem or something not appropriate happening. Concerns about the health of tourist service operators will also be considered. Once a month, for example, operators are going to be asked to carry out health checks because apparently captain of one of the boats drowned while accompanying tourists because it was suspected that he was ill. So these arrangements are being done, Pakdoti said, to create a superior priority tourist destination for Lovina, because dolphin watching tourism in Lovina is the only one in Bali. And a final segment, Bule Behaving Badly. Have not done a Bule Behaving Badly in a long time. Russian Caucasian escapes from hospital. Okay. There was a traffic accident in Unggasan village on Sunday on Jalan Uluwatu between a Russian and a local person. The Russian was driving a Yamaha NMAX, and apparently he was trying to pass a car. He went too far out in the road. The Indonesian driver was coming directly at him, and the Russian and the Indonesian smashed into each other. The Russian suffered a fracture in his right hand, the left hand, and his ear had abrasions. The Balinese suffered an injury to his right hand and chest pain. Both were taken to Surya Husada Hospital for medical assistance, and the two motorbikes were seized by the police as evidence. However, when the Russian got there to the hospital, he bolted. Yeah, took off. No motorcycle. They don't know where he went. He just disappeared. Don't know why. Doesn't say. They're not sure why. They're still looking for him. The police say that it was his fault after going through talking to witnesses and looking at the scene. Apparently, he was driving too fast for conditions and was out too far in the road passing and was driving carelessly. So maybe he wants to keep from getting in trouble. Or maybe he didn't want to pay the hospital bill. I don't know, not clear. But the owner of the motorcycle showed up at the police station and said, "Where's my motorbike and where's the guy that rented it from me? He's gone, my motorbike's gone." Well, the police had a motorbike. Where the Russian is at this point is unknown, even though the police are aware of where he was staying. So, somebody did not want to take responsibility for what happened. And this is one of the reasons why I am not driving down in the tourist area anymore. There are too many people driving these NMAXs too fast, not paying attention to what they're doing. I'm going to stick with driving up here, not a lot of traffic, much safer, even though there are crazy people driving up here as well. Oh, and additionally, the Russian driver did not have a motorcycle license, and the motorbike did not have an STNK with it too. What are you going to say? Crazy stuff. Okay, I'm going to finish this up because I want to go outside and enjoy the weather. And now that I have sunglasses that I can wear and see, I want to start doing some Singaraja snippets again. I want to get out and do some filming. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe, and I will see you next time.